And welcome back and welcome to March, the first day of the third month, by no comparison as historic as the second day of the third month 5 years ago. But I can't help but think that this one won't go down in history as it drew a great deal of similarities today. We'll focus on that, of course, and take a look at some of the damage that was seen here in Magoffin County and elsewhere in just a few moments. And we'll take a great deal of time and talk about the weather tonight and a few other important reports and an interview about tomorrow's event held in recognition of the 5-year anniversary of the March 2012 tornado, that to be held in the Rainy Park here in Salyersville. Been under the weather for a few days. I feel reasonably well. My voice feels as though it's going to just go at any time and crash, so a few cracks and squeaks here and there. I beg for your apologies before we go any further. Before we go on to other headlines, indeed the weather making the most of that tonight, before we take a look outside as to what took place, what most everyone is very well aware of over the course of the early morning hours. Let me get you caught up to date on elsewhere. More than 25,000 people just with the Kentucky Power Utility Service lost their electricity today, many still without electricity, as strong winds, maybe a tornado, which may have touched down in Breathitt County, still yet to be confirmed by the National Weather Service, but definitely a lot of straight line winds causing the most problems, which were clocked at anywhere from 45 to 70 miles per hour in parts of eastern Kentucky. That meant there were poles down, lines torn from those poles and transformers, and a lot of electrical issues. Floyd County had nearly 3,000 Kentucky Power customers out at one point. Johnson County almost 700, as did Magoffin County. In neighboring Morgan County, really minimal, only a handful of customers there without power due to a result of all of those winds. More counties than not, it feels as though, sustained some sort of storm damage, whether it was down trees, homes or structures damaged or destroyed, mind you, down power lines and the like. Pikeville High School receiving a lot of significant damage. In Rowan County, at least one mobile home blown over. In Breathitt County, the same. And several homes and businesses also damaged and maybe even destroyed in neighboring Breathitt County as well. Here in Magoffin County, not that severe, but a lot of widespread, slight to moderate damage, mind you. Bottom line is, we escaped without, as far as I know, any injuries. So for the past several days now, I've been in my mind trying to figure out how we were going to recognize the tornado anniversary tomorrow, and trying not to look back and go over stories that we had done and some which were painful to ask to tell again, but more so maybe looking ahead. There was a question I've asked repeatedly, and that was, what can we say was the most positive thing to come out of the tornadoes that tore through eastern Kentucky 5 years ago tomorrow? And that was proven today. It was also mentioned just prior by a couple of folks who answered with that very reply, and we'll talk about that on tomorrow's program more so, but that being how we all respond much differently than we did before March the 2nd of 2012, and that is evident in some of the story here. I honestly was feeling quite nervous, quite anxious this morning just as the weather started to unfold. I woke up sleeping into about 7:45 because the kids didn't have school, and jumped and had to be in Paintsville to retrieve some video, thinking I had about an hour and a half window to get there and get back. And just as I was making it back into Magoffin County and Salyersville, the weather pattern started to change. Those sounds and warnings started to come over the police and rescue and EMS radio, and anxiousness became nervousness out of all of those similarities, which I couldn't help but start to draw. At the very moment that I was passing a section of 460 where the path is still evident, especially this time of year, from the 2012 tornado.
Attention all Magoffin County Rescue, Police, Fire, and EMS personnel. Attention all Magoffin County Police, Fire, Rescue, and EMS personnel. National Weather Service in Jackson, Kentucky has issued a tornado warning for Magoffin County until 9:45. Repeating, the National Weather Service in Jackson, Kentucky has issued a tornado warning for Magoffin County until 9:45.
Just moments after those tones rang out, alerting everyone in the EMS circle, I found myself at the intersection of 460 and 114, looking in the same directions I can recall on the night of March 2nd, 2012, when I was sitting in the car wash parking lot just a mile or so towards town, In one direction, even though it was dark, you could see that skies were clear towards the east, and towards the west, like today, a very ominous feeling. I can recall the lightning in much more severe conditions at that point then, but now it doesn't take as much to stir up those same emotions. Fortunately, what we did see here in the viewing area for the most part, I know some folks saw some much more severe weather conditions, but we saw a significant band of some light hail. We saw some significant winds that left behind some significant but no major structural damage. The bottom line is no injuries or worse today. But as many of you know and have experienced, there was some damage left behind, trees down, some roofs peeled back, and other structures affected. And in McGoffin County, several hundred local residents without power for several hours.
There was an area on Burning Fork that had 400 customers out of power after the wind came through. I don't know what the problem was up there, but they were still working on it a couple hours after the high wind came through. And we also had a report on Cold Branch that the power had been off for about 2 hours, and they were getting ready to head to Cold Branch quick as they got everything on Burning Fork.
A lot of down trees, a lot of down power lines, a lot of sites like these, underpinning just completely blown out from this mobile home, and you can see the holes that were pierced through the side by objects that were blown into it. Here, an unwanted sunroof from pictures that David Howard sit in, and from the residence of Anthony Dobbins on Coon Creek just past the North McGoffin Volunteer Fire Department. This shows just how indeed high winds were. A carport blown into the house and then into the tree, literally. Levy and Deaton's barn over on Route 30 in the Middle Fork area had the roof peeled off, blown off, and some other damage seen on her farm. This at my house, that's about a 300-pound base, I'm assuming, there, and the bottom of the ball goal, which was not moved during the tornado of 2012. I have seen it blown and scooted over 4 or 5 feet, but it was literally picked up and just toppled over the fence. The same wind going right on and taking out my neighbor's tree, uprooting it from the ground just a few feet across the road. Common sights from what was a significant storm rolling through at a very significant time in our history. A history that everyone is invited to recognize tomorrow night in the Ramey Park in Sagersville. Sagersville Mayor Pete Shepard says that they are organizing an event along with the county for anyone who would like to come by. They hope to thank formally our EMS and first responders, as well as try to reach out and thank all of those who just came from all parts of the state and country to help for so long, as well as maybe share some memories and some good stories that have come out of the 2012 tornado.
We'd like to have people get here around 6 or 6:15 or something like that. The first responders will be here. We're going to have them lined up around the park. DAV will be here to do our dedication with maybe our flag raising. We're going to have a flag with on our ladder truck tomorrow night. And I hope that around 7 o'clock, about the same time the tornado hit 5 years ago, we're going to have the warning siren go off for even a few minutes and just remember back 5 years ago when the tornado hit. I think it's a remembrance, and I think also we like to have just people to show up and thank the first responders, and hopefully have a lot of people here. You know, 5 years ago we had so many people come to McGoffin County and Sayersville to help us right after the tornado, and we really didn't officially thank anybody or really go out and reach out to anybody. But after 5 years, and it seemed like it's just been yesterday this happened, but we're finally getting ready to say, you know, thank you to everybody, and just all the people that came and done all the hard work and helped us rebuild, and now we're bigger and better than ever.
Well, that system today obviously left behind that damage and so much more that I'm still getting pictures of, and thank you, and keep sending them in. It also damaged, we're getting reports being confirmed that at least 12 or maybe more homes or structures were destroyed in Estill County, and so far onto the west and in other states, and I believe in Illinois, at least 2 deaths so far associated with storms and tornadoes in that particular part of the United States, all part of what has been a very stormy and dangerous day across the United States. Good news is, weather-wise, is we're going to cool off and calm down for the foreseeable future, and I'll have that in other news after these messages.
To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband.
And once again, as folks will be gathering to look back and look ahead as well and see where they were, where they are, and how far they've come since the March 2012 tornado in the Ramey Park tomorrow evening, which we hope you'll be able to join them and us. We will have a camera there, as we'll be splitting, of course, double duty between there and the regional tournament at Pikeville. Nonetheless, if you have a good story that would make you think, for a good example of how today your response to that tornado warning was much different than it was 5 years ago or any time throughout your childhood or otherwise, feel free to share that with me. Maybe send me a message on Facebook, a little detailed message, and we're going to try to put a few of those together for tomorrow night's program, because I think we all respond certainly much differently at this time than we did. Well, one of the reasons, of course, we saw this happen today was a mixture of things in the atmosphere, and warm air and cold air colliding is a big part of that. The warmest winter ever. We knew it was coming. I did the early math that they shared with me, and it looked as though that was how it was going to all add up, and indeed it did. Jackson had a mean temperature of 42.9 degrees, which easily blows by the 41.6 degree winter, that's average, from 2011-2012. London also beat its previous warmest winter with no problem, 42.4 this winter versus 41.5 from 91-92. Also, to note out of the National Weather Service, 2017 was the warmest February on record at Jackson. Only a trace of snowfall. It was the least snowiest February ever. At London, it was the second warmest February. Very, very close. Kentucky weather. Love it or hate it, you've got to deal with it. I'll be right back after these words. Not based just on the past several recent reports that I have ran, including one just last night about 2 Magauffa County men arrested on methamphetamine trafficking charges, but going back over the past several weeks, several months, and beyond that, it appears as though when we talk about drug-related arrest for a traffic stop or something of that nature, more often than not nowadays, it is meth instead of prescription pills. I don't have any numbers put together, but we'll try to do so. But I can tell you with a great deal of certainty that it wasn't that long ago, to the tune of a year or two maybe, that while we were reporting on methamphetamine arrests, manufacture of methamphetamine, which goes back even much farther than that, as far as finding people in possession of it, it was not as common as it is today. Now, I believe that more often than not, the traffic stops that result in drug-related arrest are more related to possession of meth than they are prescription pills. At least that seems to be what's grabbing headlines here as of late. Case in point, last night at around 9:20, the Johnson County Sheriff's Department, specifically Deputy Byron Fairchild, says that he saw a black Monte Carlo driving in the darkness with no headlights on, and he stopped the car. As he was conducting the traffic stop, he said that the driver of the vehicle, identified as 28-year-old Loyal J. Maynard of Louisa, was driving on a DUI suspended license. Fairchild also determined that through field sobriety tests that Maynard appeared to be under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. He observed also that passenger Joey L. Thomas, 30 of Louisa, appeared as well to be under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. Additionally, Thomas had an active arrest warrant in his name. Maynard gave consent to search the vehicle. Deputy Fairchild then discovered a bag containing a white crystalline substance believed to be methamphetamine under the passenger seat. Thomas confessed that the bag was his, while Fairchild also discovered that the vehicle had no valid tags or insurance on it. Both Maynard and Thomas were taken into custody. Maynard charged with driving under the influence, driving on a DUI, suspended license, no seatbelt and proper equipment, no registration plates, and several other traffic infractions. Thomas was charged with possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, public intoxication, as well as served with that outstanding bench warrant. They're both still lodged, and they were both lodged in the Big Sandy Jail. The Sheriff's Department says that always, if you have any knowledge of any illegal activity, to contact their department. 789-3411 is the number that you can reach them by. And as always, you can remain anonymous. Before I hit the go button on tonight's McGoffin Farm Bureau community calendar announcements, I got this one in hand. I just don't have it on screen. But it comes from our friends at the Stinson United Baptist Church, who says in addition to their 11 o'clock Sunday morning service this weekend, they're having a fellowship meeting at 6 o'clock Sunday evening with guest minister Daryl Newsom, pastor of Pilgrim Prayer Old Regular Baptist Church in Dorton, Kentucky. That's in Pike County. And this is your, although you can't see it, you can hear it, this is your invitation to join them at Stinson United Baptist Church this Sunday morning at 11 and Sunday evening at 6. And a reminder that the 4-H Shooting Sports Club will have their first meeting of the season this Saturday at 6 o'clock at the Extension office for ages 9 to 18. That's weather permitting, mind you. They're looking for a great year ahead. If you would like to be a sponsor and a part of that and help the children of McGoffin County have a successful year in 4-H shooting sports, contact Lacey May. You'd be surprised at how little it goes to make a big difference, or how little it takes to make a big difference. And, of course, the more the merrier as far as donations are concerned. But call Lacey May at the Extension office at 349-1236. And you need to register, I think, by this Friday, certainly for the first event at Carter Caves, but for the 2 free workshops for women breast cancer survivors. They're having 2 special educational days at Carter Caves on the 18th and a Natural Bridge on the 25th with lunch and door prizes, gifts, tips, and much, much more, networking, skill building, and just a whole lot packed into that day. But pre-register. You need to do so by calling 606-679-7204. And lastly, I'll have more on it tomorrow and have it up on the screen, but the next McGoffin County Community Blood Drive has been set for next week, Thursday, starting at 1:30 here in Sagersville in front of the Sagersville IGA. I'll remind you later. Right now, in front of you, your reminder on how you get announcements just like these, and birthdays and anniversaries, too, on the show. In funeral service announcements, 61-year-old Jimmy Corley of Flat Fork passed away on the 28th. He was the son of the late Ellis and Mazina Blanton Hall, and besides his parents, he's preceded in death by his wife, Kelly Cooper Corley. He is survived by sons Jeremy and Christopher and his daughter, April. Visitation will be after 5 tomorrow and prior to services Friday at 1, all from the Sagersville Funeral Home. Services are going to start Friday at 2 here in Sagersville in honor of 81-year-old Anna Lawson Bailey of Elk Creek Road, married to Astor Bailey, who preceded her in death. She's survived by sons David Paul and Donald Ray Chambers, and daughters Gloria Minix and Gayla Fletcher, and a stepdaughter, Shirley Fairchild. Visitation starts tomorrow after 5 and up until Friday's services that start at 2, all from the McGoffin County Funeral Home. And 63-year-old Alma McKenzie of Leander passed away on the 22nd, married to Earl McKenzie, who preceded her in death. She's survived by her son Matthew Bryan and daughter Laura Lee Tackett. A celebration of life service is going to be held this Saturday at 1 from the Burgett Community Church. The family will welcome friends with a dinner following the service. The Sagersville Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. I've yet to take in the 15th Region Basketball Tournament. If I don't make it tonight for some of the second game, I will be there tomorrow night getting everyone caught up. Girls action, though, the first round is all over, said and done. We've got semifinal pairings now after last night's games. One of them, a screamer right down to the end. And then, of course, the boys tip off tonight. Game 1 set to take place and begin in just a few minutes. In Game 1 last night in girls action, South Floyd, the 58th District champs, came out over Lawrence County 67-49. The final score last night after South Floyd 69-57 and 55-41 wins in the regular season. South Floyd advancing to Friday night's semis. While in Game 2, you had Shelby Valley and Paintsville. Valley on a 15-game winning streak. Their last loss came back on January the 12th to Paintsville and the Lady Tigers in the 15th Region All-A Classic Championship. That was the only time that Valley, the 59th District champs, and Paintsville met before last night's regional. Valley's season is now over 26-5, while for the Lady Tigers, they go on to 26-4 and go on to Friday night's 8 o'clock semifinal game against South Floyd.
And all of that first round play will take us to the semis this Friday night. And for the girls bracket, it will tip off at 6:30. We'll see Pike County Central at 22-11, 5th and 15th region standings, taking on Johnson Central and the Golden Eagles. That's the 60th district champs against the 57th district champs. Johnson Central at 27-6. Johnson Central taking out Pike County Central by 30, 71-41 early on in the season on December the 6th. Tip-off set for 6:30. And in Game 2 on Friday night, you'll have South Floyd, the 58th district champs, 4th right now in 15th region standings at 26-7, taking on the Tigers of Paintsville, the 57th district runner-up, the only runner-up left in the 15th region after taking down Valley last night, 57-46, and then taking Valley out before in the regular season, as I said a few moments ago, at 62-54. Tip-off for that Game 2 Friday night at 8. And the boys tip off tonight at 6:30 for first round action. You've got number 1 seeded Johnson Central and the Golden Eagles 25-6 after, of course, defeating McGoffin County and becoming the 57th district champions. They'll take on 6th seeded Shelby Valley at 16-14. Tip off 6:30. It's Game 1. Game 2 will be the 2 seed Lawrence County at 21-11, taking on 8th seeded Allen Central, coming in at 14-18. And the last first round action will be for the boys, and it will be Thursday night. And in Game 1, you'll have the 4 and 5 seeds, South Floyd and the Raiders, 20-12, taking on your own McGoffin County Hornets at 18-11. Game 1 is 6:30, and in Game 2 at 8, the 3 and the 7, 3-seeded Pikeville at 20-8 for the Panthers, taking on Belfry and the Pirates at 14-17. And backing up to the Valley Lady Tiger matchup last night, when I was under the weather and just didn't make it, I did listen to my buddy Scott Ratliff on WSIP, and this was a game where Valley was ahead there at the very end, and a shot one-hander off the glass with 8 seconds to go by Lady Tiger Elizabeth Williams. They came right back and sealed the deal for Paintsville with that monstrous win that takes them to Friday night's semis. And while I think it's coming across maybe a little better than it sounds in my head, my voice is nearly gone. So let me do a very short and really a pretty sweet forecast after the day that we've all had. Still 60 out there right now and holding. 34 is where we should fall to tonight under mostly cloudy skies. We had another little band of showers that rolled through and even heard some thunder go along with it. And that has since gone and pulled out of the viewing area for the most part at this time. Just a little bit of a lingering precipitation out there, but that's going to be the last round that I see tonight. Mostly cloudy. Wind still moving out of the west, 11-28. Right now I've got one at 10. Had an 18-mile-per-hour clock just a few moments ago. Tomorrow, cooler, calmer, thank you. More sunny. We're talking about mostly sunny, 47. Still a pesky wind out of the west at 7 to 16 miles per hour, but mostly sunny and no major weather changes. Slight chance of some showers tomorrow night. That could be wet or white, but only a 30% chance and not a big weather or precipitation maker. Nevertheless, Friday 40 and mostly sunny and clear that night with lows well below freezing. Saturday 51, mostly sunny and clear. Sunday 61, partly sunny, a few clouds late that night that will start to accumulate by Monday and give us our next chance of showers from there. Late Monday night, that is. With that said, already more news than I know I'll be able to work into the remaining 60 minutes that I have for the rest of this week. So be sure and join us tomorrow night for another edition of Your News Today. For now, thank you for being a part of this one. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening, and I hope above all it's much calmer and safer than this day began. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.